this area actually used to be a storage for oil and petroleum. So it was 120 acres. You can just imagine a bunch of containers of oil just being stored here. They were distributing it from here. That went on for about 40 years. So in 1965, they decided to move out, did what big oil does. So they left the area. They sold it to a private private owner, and they decided to turn it into a housing complex. So it was 300 units of just residents coming in, and it was going to be a huge. They had a lot of plans for it. They had an idea for like a little mini mall. They had an idea for like a daycare, all to be within the community. But they only ended up building the 300 unit apartment complex. The unfortunate thing was that they did not do any soil testing, or they didn't do any testing on the land. So it wasn't until the year like 1995 when the property foreclosed that they decided to do some some soil testing. And that's when they found out that there was some contaminants. They told residents that it was okay. It wasn't to the levels where it was going to be harmful to them. But I think a lot of the residents started feeling kind of concerned, and they kept on kind of pushing the issue. So in the year 2000 is when they did another soil test. They once again told them, no, it's okay for everybody. The contaminants are down below the ground, where it's far away, and it won't harm them. It wasn't until the year 2008 when Cal EPA actually had to step in and tell them that they needed to do like further research and actually start doing remediation. So that's when they started kind of trying to alleviate some of the contaminants that were in the area. But at that point, the buildings were starting to like deteriorate. They started saying that it was like the quality of the buildings were the ones that were kind of causing them to eventually close. Hopefully it's not a huge emergency. Anybody? Yeah. So in 2008 is when they finally decided to go ahead and I don't think they liked us talking about the history. It was in 2008 when they finally decided, you know what, we're going to close it down. But their excuse was that the building itself wasn't up to standard anymore, and that's the reason that they wanted to knock it all down. And then finally it was demolished. A lot of the residents, I think 400 residents, decided to join up because they realized that there was a high amount of health issues. There was a lot of cases of cancer, asthma, leukemia, and then that's when they decided to kind of join together and sue. So because they were able to sue, there was a lot of Exxon and LA Housing Authority were the ones that had to pay for all that remediation. So fortunately, in 2006, they were able to start doing plans, think about what this community needs and what this park can become. And finally, in 2020 is when the project was completed, and after $200 million invested into the area, it is what it is now. So I'll pass it over to my colleague Carlos, who will be able to talk a little bit more about all the cool features that went into the park.
Thank you, Alonso. Y'all ready to go to Paris? Let's go right now. Okay, so thank you, Alonso, for that. It's very important that we really take a moment to think about the land that we're standing on, right? It is indigenous land. It is Tongva land. This land was taken without permission. Lives were lost. People were displaced. They were moved. And it's no easy thing to do, right? A lot of us still experience that. We still experience displacement. we still experience a lot of damage to our communities and to our cultures. So it's just good to be able to reflect that the past and the harm that was done in the past is still continuing today. And so we just want to acknowledge that indigenous and tribal communities are still here with us. They're still living with us, and they're in struggle with us. So I just want to be able to highlight that and set the tone for this space. As Alonso mentioned, in this particular area, it was an oil field, right? It was storing oil. Then it became this thriving cultural community space that called Ujima. And is anyone here familiar, old enough, or from the community that remembers
Ujima Village?
Yep, exactly. And that village was such a proud space here. Unfortunately, how many of you have experienced or lived in communities that have also have pollutants and also have homes that are built on top of them, schools that are built on top of them, right? That's what happened here. Entire communities were impacted and died of cancer and died of other illnesses. That community, those apartments were torn down, and it was seen as, this land is way too polluted to do anything. But there is hope, and there is resources available, and with all of that, this beautiful park came about. Magic Johnson Park has been here for a while, but it hasn't always been like it is now. There's been a lot of redevelopment. So if you just kind of take a look around, what do you see? What are some things that you notice? Birds, lake,
Foliage.
dogs, foliage. ¿Qué es lo que notan aquí en árboles alrededor? Los árboles, trees. Yep. Good use of stones, yeah, exactly, sustainable, right? What about this beautiful air-conditioned building, right? And the art that's in there. So this is what's possible. This is why you're here, so you can know what's possible in your communities, right? We're gonna walk a little bit along the lake through the past the playground, and then I'm gonna show you what happens. Or try to explain to you what happens, underneath this entire park. How this park is benefiting not just the people, but also the environment. So we're gonna learn about the watershed, right? And we're gonna be walking on her. So let's walk. And while we're walking, talk amongst each other and just enjoy the park. Because I'm gonna start talking at another location.
Let's talk.